All right, so in today's lesson, we're going to talk about the cage system, and we're going to take the C form specifically of the cage system, and we're going to work in the key of E major, okay? So the C form comes from your open C chord. So now when you play this chord, we want to know where the two C's, or where all the C's are. So in this case, we have the 3rd fret of the A string, that is your low root, and then we have the 1st fret of the B string. So these two C's. Now, if you know the octave system, you know that when the note's on the B string, you skip to the A string and go up 2 frets. That forms, these two then form your movable C root shape, right? So now I can move this up. A whole step would be D, and another whole step would be E. So the 7th fret of the A string and the 5th fret of the B string, okay? I just simply shifted my C root shape up to become E. All right. Now from here, this is like my foundation. Okay, this is everything right here. These are the most important part of everything I'm going to show you is the root shape. Okay, you need to imagine like building a house. The first thing you do is you build the foundation, and then from there you build everything around that. So that's essentially when you think about the root shape. Because now what I can do is I can build the chord shape around this, which again is just your open C chord moved up. The problem that people have is to understand this is that when you play an open C chord, you have 2 open strings in this. You have your G and your high E, okay? So when people move this up, they don't think about how the 2 open strings have got to come along for the ride, right? So now if I move this up a half step, the C chord here, it's not going to sound very good because I didn't bring the 2 open strings along for the ride. So that's where like a capo would come in handy, right? You just capo at 1, and then you form that C chord at the 4th fret, and the capo's taking care of that for you. But if you don't have a capo, then we have to be the capo, and then, you know, form the chord. This is more challenging, right? But, you know, if you work at this, it becomes pretty easy. So now if I move the C chord again up to my pinkies at the 7th fret, and I bar there at the 4th, I now have my C-shaped E major chord. It's a little confusing at first, but eventually, you know, it all comes together for you. But so yeah, so this is my C-shaped E chord. But again, within this, I have my root shape. Okay. All right. So I've built the chord now around the root shape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find all of the notes that make up the chord, the arpeggio, in this basically 4th through 7th fret. It's a 4-fret span here. Okay. So all the notes in an E major chord is made up of E, G sharp, and B. E, okay, the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th note of the scale. So I could play a G sharp here at the 4th fret of the low E. I could play a B at the 7th fret of the low E. I could play then to my root at the 7th fret of the A string, the 3rd G sharp here at the D string, the B, the E, the G sharp, and the B. So these are all of the notes possible for the arpeggio in this position. Okay? My chord, right? Okay? So now from there, I'm going to add on what would be the 2nd and the 6th degree of the scale with the arpeggio, the 1, 3, 5. So now I get 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. That forms my major pentatonic scale. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 5. Again, I want to see all of the notes possible in this position. All right, and then from there, I add on 2 more notes, the 4th and 7th degree to the pentatonic, and I have all of the notes that make up your major scale. So I get E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. And you just continue on in this position, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B. So these are all the notes that are possible in that position of the C form of E major, okay? Now one cool thing you can start to do is you can start to practice, like take the arpeggio up and then bring your full scale down. It's a very cool musical sounding thing to do. Okay, so arpeggio up, and then the scale down. All right. Other things you can do is you can just start to try to make with the pentatonic. You start to try to make little licks up and things like that, right? Okay. Now I'm going to leave it with this for today, is that, again, the big thing with the cage system is that it's all movable, right? So everything that you just did in E, if I was to move this, you know, up to G, so G would be at the 10th fret of the A string. So if I simply slide this up, and now I'm in the key of G, but I'm still using my C root shape. Okay, I'm moving that C up to G. So everything that I just learned in E, the arpeggio, the pentatonic, well, the chord shape, right? Then the arpeggio, the pentatonic, and then the full major scale is all the same. All the information is exactly the same. It just moves around the neck. So this is why, you know, we want to know to quickly be able to find one note or whatever the key you're going to be in, where those notes lie in the fretboard. So then once you start to understand this information, you can really utilize it really quickly, because you can immediately move it to where you need to be, because you know the notes on the fretboard, right? So for a lot of you, you're stuck a little bit, probably because you just don't see the notes quick enough on the fretboard. So, you know, that's one of those things that I always say has physically nothing to do with playing, but it makes a huge impact on your playing when you eventually really start to learn the notes on the fretboard, okay? So last thing I'll say is a great way to start really memorizing the notes on the fretboard is by saying the note out loud. The 10th fret of the A string is a G. The 10th fret of the A string is a G. The 8th fret of the B string is a G. The 8th fret of the B string is a G. Many times when I teach and I ask a student where a note is on the fretboard, like if they were to find that G on the A string, they wouldn't use their octave system. They would just start counting up, and then what they say is, it's here. And I'm always, where is here? Saying the 10th fret of the A string has more impact than just saying it's here, because you're actually identifying exactly where, in this case, this G note is at the 10th fret of the A string. All right, check out GuitarWeekly.com, weekly lessons, lots of good stuff there. Please leave some comments. If you have any questions, please ask. Thanks so much.